All right, and welcome back to episode 035 of the OK Podcast, powered by The Strength Co. I'm your host, Grant Broggi, coming to you live from the beautiful upstate of South Carolina. Today's date is August the 20th in the year of our Lord 2024. The block height, shout out Zach Copley, is 857-689. 857-689. I don't know what that means, but we're putting blocks on top, and Bitcoin is not really on the rise. We're kind of stuck at 59,000 some change. But as I always say, buy nice, don't buy twice, and some things get better with age. Bitcoin's like a bare steel barbell. It's like a brand new cast iron pan. It's like a Strength Co. E-coated plate. The longer you own it, the stronger you are. We'll get to the price of Bitcoin in a second, but another abnormal episode. I'm here. Well, price of Bitcoin right now, 58,998. Hoping it hits 60 while we're on air. But coming live at the beginning of the podcast, we have Mr. Jeff Biggie, spelled Buege, but pronounced like Biggie Smalls, from Salt Lake City, Utah. And
Wait, Biggie Smalls?
Yeah,
Robert, I didn't know that.
Robert Trey Gottlich the third, known as Trey, coming to us from where?
Odessa.
I love that I messaged you today and we're like, hey, where are you staying? Meaning when he comes here next week, and he's like, Odessa. And I'm like,
I thought you cared where I was staying in Odessa.
I didn't even know you weren't away from home. I didn't even know you were away from home.
Hey, it's odds are I'm away from home if it's a Tuesday.
If it's Tuesday.
That's what Trey always says.
That's what he's always said. If it's Tuesday.
I'm on Tuesdays.
Yeah, he's looking for Amarillo. Let's see what's happened in the world. The first weekend of college football will have happened by the time this airs.
Yep.
We have Steven Garcia on the podcast. Hope you enjoyed that one. I sure did.
Great episode.
Had some new YouTube videos. Nothing. This is where PJ has like the laptop and he's pulling up all the notes, and
we can make something up.
PJ got married.
Oh, Mazel Tov.
Hey.
Yeah, Mazel Tov. Yeah. Haven't heard a peep out of him.
Congratulations.
I would be surprised if you did.
Yeah, but that's good. That's good. And I'm cracking a LaCroix.
Ooh.
LaCrux. What flavor?
Yeah.
I don't even know.
What?
Beach plum. Beach plum, because PJ's on the beach. And we've had a little technical difficulties. We have a feeling that Trey's going to look foggy and I'm going to be a little choppy. But Jeff, we can't tell what t-shirt you're wearing as always, and so the show goes on.
It's Patagonia shirt.
Yeah, shocker.
Ooh.
Shocker.
One of two things: Patagonia or Strength Co. shirt.
Yeah, that's really all there is in life.
True.
Well,
let's see. Grant,
should we get an amateur lifting update first?
Yeah. Ooh, short but sweet, man.
Zero lifting.
No, I got some in on the weekend.
Got those fives back.
Got a little, I got a little squat action in, but other than that, man, nothing too exciting.
Okay, but
still grinding, trying to get it in when I can. Like I said, it's heading in the right direction.
Hey, get in where you fit in. Direction, not perfection. Those are the things I always say.
Are you? You'd mentioned previous episode. Were you doing a little fast?
Not recently. Are you telling me do I look a little thick?
No, I just thought you asked Steven Garcia that. I thought
I asked him that because I forgot who gave him his like inspiration. It was either like Peter Attia, Sean Baker, or Rogan, but he got into fasting maybe like 6 months ago. Okay. And we were interacting on X about it, formerly known as Twitter. Shout out Jack Dorsey, who apparently no longer has an X account. That's big news. No, I haven't done a fast. I've been far from fasting. I just came back from the low country.
The anti-fast.
Yeah, I've been eating shrimp and grits, baby. I did think about, people have commented about the upstate of South Carolina. I thought about it. And maybe Jeff will have some thoughts on this because he's from Georgia, where Savannah is also the low country. And I almost feel like wrong. Savannah or low country.
No,
because low country is not a real word.
You pronounce Savannah wrong.
How do you say Savannah?
Savannah.
Oh, Savannah. I thought you were going to say Savannah.
Like, whoa, Trey.
No, Savannah. Hey,
Savannah.
I remember when I sent Governor McMaster a letter during 2020 for his thanks for his support of, just keeping the state open for business. And he wrote me a letter and said, Mr. Broggi, I seen what you've been doing out there with your gyms in California. And I do declare, sometime when you come to South Carolina, let's have a glass of iced tea on my front porch. That's never happened, but I do have the letter.
I was about to say.
You got to hold him to that.
Yeah. A glass of sweet tea.
Yeah. I like us just making up stories.
Yeah. No, that's true. That's true. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Old Governor McMaster. My little brother or my nephew, my older brother and my little nephew met him recently. And he said something like, son, college will be the best 4 years of your life. You better enjoy it.
Wow.
Yeah. That's his voice. He sounds exactly like Colonel Sanders.
Dang.
I would vote for him.
I would vote for this guy.
Yeah. Parties in.
Oh, he's got hair that is wavy and white. Yeah, he's like the aristocrat.
Yeah, look this guy up. I'm intrigued.
I could also see him saying like, gentlemen, in South Carolina, we were the first to secession, and we will be the first to the world's greatest sweet tea, or something like that. Yeah.
Along those lines.
That should have been his campaign slogan. But anyway, while Jeff looks him up and Jeff's laughing at his hair as he sees him,
great.
right? Like he sounds exactly like he looks. But I was down in the Low Country and it's marshland. It's a bunch of islands down in Beaufort. Same thing in
the lowest
in Savannah.
countries.
And I was like, this is why we call it the upstate, because you're not in swamp getting eaten by mosquitoes. So you're in the upper part of the state. Do you have an upstate in Georgia, Jeff?
No, I've never really heard that kind of term thrown around as far as upstate, low country. I mean, even though Savannah definitely is low country, same sort of geography and whatever you want to call hydrography or whatever it's.
Ooh, hydrography. Okay, Patagonia trained over
said
there.
That word right, but it's fine.
Yeah, but Kennesaw Mountain's kind of the upstate.
Yeah, and then if you go even further up into the Blue Ridge Mountains, shout out Fleet Foxes, great song about that. That's kind of the highest elevation as you kind of start basically once you kind of hit Atlanta-ish and then keep going north, then the mountains start to.
So I would think it'd be where the Chattooga River comes, and the only reason I know this is because I'm a conservationist, and the way I show my conservation is through fly fishing. And there's a spot in South Carolina where the Chattooga River comes. It's the border of South Carolina, North Carolina, and Georgia. Mm-hmm. So, depending on where you're fishing, what side of the bank, you need a license in all three.
Oh, geez.
And I think that's probably the high point of Georgia.
Probably close. Yeah.
Is Black Mountain Georgia? Black Mountain? Where's Stone Mountain?
Stone Mountain.
Stone Mountain's outside of Atlanta, right?
Yeah.
And then there's Springer Mountain, which is where the Appalachian Trail starts.
Yeah. Stone Mountain. Okay. Stone Mountain's outside of Atlanta.
Trey Trivia. I saw my first laser show at Stone Mountain.
Oh, nice. Where they lit up Robert E. Lee.
And they played Devil Went Down to Georgia.
He was looking for Soul to Kill.
Soul to Steal.
Oh, yeah. That should probably take us into our first main topic that we've gotten in highly disputed debates on our Slack list.
Oh, yeah. So, that list was talking about best country songs of all time. This is just one person's opinion, whoever wrote that article. I don't think they're.
Yeah, but Trey thought it was for the all Americans saying that this was the best whatever.
Yeah, Trey took
it really far.
Took great consternation to that list.
I was pretty upset. I was pretty peeved. I was throwing stuff at home.
Well,
Abby
Jeff,
asked,
well then what do you think? What are okay.
Well, why don't you take us to the list first?
Okay. Yeah, take us to the list.
Yeah.
And so everyone can laugh at it together. Yeah.
I mean, some of them
everyone loose term.
You could swap out with something else, but let me pull it up here. Okay.
Read the title.
It is, what's the greatest country song ever made? people have
Greatest.
well, then it says people have a clear answer, but it's like this one guy wrote it. Like, I don't know. I don't think he polled all the people out there, but
Yeah, it wasn't like the RNC, DNC where the polls are accurate.
oh yeah. Not like the DNC, like they didn't, spurt democracy by not allowing people to vote for who the candidate would be. No big deal. No big
Just
deal.
get spicy. Just get spicy.
So I'm not going to get spicy like I did with Garcia last week, but quick segue. I'm home. I'll just say it. My parents, they're into politics. They watch the RNC. And so I'm thinking, I'm home. I have no idea the DNC's happening. It's my mother's birthday. I'm like, whatever you want to do. She's like, I want to eat pizza downtown. I'm like, let's go downtown and eat pizza. She's like, no, I want ice cream. We're like, let's go get ice cream. Go by to the house. And she's like, well, what do you want to do? I was like, I want to jump off the dock, pull a blue crab pot, and cast for some shrimp like I did when I was 14. Like, that's what I'm going to do. She's like, let's go do that. We do that. And then like, we're down there and she's like, well, we got to get back to watch the DNC. And I'm like, you don't even like Democrats. And she's like, yeah, but we got to see what they're going to say.
Know the enemy.
And so then they're all coming out
It's
like,
very Sun Tzu.
democracy. And she's like, yeah, but you ousted Joe Biden in a coup. And I'm like, it's actually
Just
not
yell
that
it.
far off. Yeah. Anyway,
This
back
Broggi
to-
just yelling at the TV. I love it.
I love that.
just like that. Back to the greatest country song
Back to
ever.
our regularly scheduled programming. So we'll start.
That's our number one listener.
We'll start at the bottom, right? We'll start with
True.
number 10. I always kind of dislike when they listed number 1 first, and then you scroll down to number
I
10. It's like
hate
they need to
that.
do reverse. Like,
Yeah.
give me to scroll. You
Every
want me to
time.
scroll down to the bottom, right? Like that's what you want. So, a little critique there. So number 10, "Mama Tried," Merle Haggard. Great song.
Good song.
That's high for me.
Ooh.
I lived it.
So you would.
I'm not gonna say it's the greatest, but it's definitely high for me. So,
Oh,
well,
okay.
let me-
You're saying you
let's go-
have it somewhere in your top 10. I thought you were saying like 10. That's a little high for that.
No. I'm
Okay.
saying
Which I was-
that's I actually often when my mother gets in my car, I play that. I actually did that this weekend.
Yes.
That's very high for me. Yeah.
Okay.
And that's one of the songs, like if someone came in and said, I'm going to tell you the 10 best country songs, and they said that, I'd be like, well, okay, I get it.
Yeah. They didn't say it was the best, but they said it's top 10. I'm a fan.
Yeah. So far, so good.
Okay. Moving on to number 9, "Stand by Your Man," Tammy Wynette.
Tammy Wynette.
Ooh, another classic.
It's classic.
Good
It's a
song.
classic. It's a great song. Trey, do you think that's top 10 worthy? I know you have strong opinions.
It's a good song. Again, I put it in the same category. If someone came in and was like, hey, stand by your man, I'd be like, okay. I'm like, I see where you're coming from.
Okay.
Yeah, she's funny. She didn't really stand by any of her men.
Hey,
But good song.
maybe it's not
Good song.
autobiographical.
Good song.
I don't know.
Yeah, good song. Okay.
Do as I say, not as I
Yeah.
do. Yeah.
Trying to make this money.
Wait, I gotta say this list. I'm okay with both so far.
Okay. There was one in particular. I was not-
Yeah. Honestly, I feel like
Yeah.
it starts as it gets higher in the list. Is that where I feel like
starts
it gets a little more
deteriorating.
confusing. Number 8, "The Gambler," Kenny Rogers. Like, I do love that song.
It's good. Again, good song. I don't know top 10, but
Ooh,
still
okay.
good song.
Okay. We say top 20,
Yeah, I would say so.
top 15.
I could see it. Yeah, I could see the argument.
Top
Are you talking about
12.
like
Top 12. It's the
12?
12th man. It's the top
12 man.
The 12th man is Kenny Rogers, the gambler.
yeah, firmly at 12. We'll leave him there.
Okay.
All right.
All right,
Continue.
Keep it going.
That's the
Number
debate
7
going.
spot belongs to 2 Johnny Cash songs, "A Boy Named Sue" and "Folsom Prison Blues."
I think that should be higher, in my opinion.
Which one?
Both of them?
Folsom Prison.
I
Blues.
think Folsom Prison Blues beats out A Boy Named
Boy
Sue.
Named
I
Sue.
do too.
Yeah. Well, what would you put higher, The Gambler or A Boy Named Sue?
Boy Named Sue.
Ooh.
Ooh.
Hmm.
Might argue.
I think I put "The Gambler" higher.
Okay. Hey,
Yeah, the Gamblers.
I do love that song.
It's good. It's like life advice.
It really is.
It really is.
When to hold them, when to fold them, when to walk away, when to run.
Never count your money. You're sitting at the table. All right, continue.
Okay. Number 6, A Country Boy Can't Survive, Hank Williams Jr.
No, I don't think.
Ooh.
I don't think top 10.
Ooh.
I like it. I do like it in the top 10.
I like it in the top 10 too. I'm like,
okay.
This is the problem with this genre. And so far with the era that we are selecting songs from, you give me this genre in this era. Can I call it outlaw country? I think every song's been outlaw country so far. Yeah. You could also name 5 more songs.
Yeah.
We're 5 deep from that genre. I'd be like, yeah, top 10. So I'm curious where it goes. I didn't actually click the link when you said it. I just saw that Trey got mad.
Oh, okay.
I was like, all right.
I took it out of Jeff like he made the list.
This is good.
Yeah.
Now this next one, I think this is where it starts, I think, to get a little squirrely. I do love this song, but it's the night the lights went out in Georgia, Reba McEntire.
Out.
Right,
Like
like
top 10.
Not
Good
top
song.
10.
Good song.
Like, love it.
Good song.
I have it on many
Not
a
top
country
10.
playlists that I've made myself.
And the fact that it's above all the songs you've named thus far is offensive.
What? Like above Johnny
Okay.
Cash, not any Johnny Cash song, but like there's many
I
Johnny Cash songs I would put
today.
I would,
Do you want to listen to Johnny Hurt Himself or that's the night when the lights went out in Georgia? PJ would love this episode.
all right. Number 4, Friends in Low Places, Garth Brooks.
Out.
Yeah,
it's a good song, but I don't know. I agree.
it's an extremely popular song. I don't know if it's necessarily
Keyword
like
pop.
a good song.
Karaoke song.
Yeah. It's fun.
Yeah.
You had a few beers, drinking
I would
and
put that
lifting is all you know. And then Garth Brooks comes on, Friends in Low Places.
I'm assuming that's going to be number 1.
I see. I would put Garth Brooks. That song is probably the number 1 karaoke song.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I feel like anytime I've done karaoke, that song has been done.
I would put that and we didn't even talk the parameters of this. I would put that as the number 1 fun country song. Well, no, actually, David Allan Coe, You Never Call Me By Your Name is probably the number 1 fun country song. That better come up.
Ooh.
No.
Continue.
Running out of spots.
Don't want to ruin anything.
Jeff, I hate you.
All right. Number 3. So busting into the top 3 greatest country songs of all time.
By one
According to this one
random
random guy
Marietta, Georgia.
On some website that I've never heard before. Right? I love the internet.
Stones.
Hottakes.com.
Take Me Home, Country Roads, John Denver.
Not country.
I would agree with that
also.
Not a country.
Yeah. Great song, not country.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We'd say
Great song. Folk music. He falls in line with Bob Dylan.
Yeah.
And
a lot of people don't know this. Great Pilot.
Oh,
Yeah.
Oh, never mind.
That part.
Just one mistake. He only messed up once. Give the guy a break.
That was number 3.
That was number 3.
Wow.
All right.
This guy's off his rocker.
This one is going to get Trey fired up. Number 2, courtesy of the Red, White, and Blue, Toby Keith. Number 2.
It's like,
like again, another fun country song, but like gets me amped up. But
so I love Toby Keith. Played a lot of his music. Always been to his bar in Oklahoma with my brother in Moore, Oklahoma. Been there. Love him. Listened to him a lot this year when he died. I wouldn't call that a country song. I call it a patriotic. I call that a 9/11 song. I'm not saying it's not country twang, but like, man,
I see
what
where
was
you're
the
going.
Clint Black song that came out that year? Iraq, I rock 'em up. and I roll. Like, it was like, this song's terrible. No, that's a song. Clint Black. Iraq, I rock 'em up and I roll in the USA is the lyrics. And like, you listen to that.
How did I miss this?
You listen to that in October of 2001 and you're like, let's go. But like, not a classic.
Well,
again, there's no.
It turns out that's number one. No.
You know what that song reminds me of? The courtesy of Red, White, and Blue.
What's that?
Is when Strength Code did a sale after.
Wait, I have something good for this.
That's number one country song.
Hey, it worked.
All right. Moving on. Top spot. This one,
number one.
This is not.
It better be
not,
the song that I used to play for you on vinyl all the time at our house in Carlsbad, not Encinitas, in Carlsbad, not the place by Big Bad John's breakfast spot, the first spot,
OG,
El Camino Real. It better be that song.
It's not that song.
Do you know the song?
Wait, hold on for a second. What song is he talking about?
Wait. Does Jeff know?
He's talking about Carolina. I Remember You.
Charlie Daniels.
Great song.
Charlie Daniels, actually.
Wait, have you been on that other podcast yet that I filled out that questionnaire for?
Thursday night. This week, Thursday. Well, we should plug him real quick since you brought it up.
Yeah.
Joe Rogan.
Podcast, lots of podcasts. Joe Rogan keeps asking me on. Everyone keeps asking me on. I will be on I'm going to mess this up. I always mess it up. Do you know the name for sure?
Underpaid and underrated.
Yeah, I always
get it wrong too.
Underpaid and underrated. The sister podcast to the Massonomics podcast. I'll be on it Thursday, August 22nd. I have no idea how I know they're super organized, by the way. If they ever hit you up, they hit up all your friends. They make people fill out questionnaires. They tell you about what lights you should have. Like, we're okay. And they are like, okay. Like, they're really into it, which I love.
Very underrated.
That's and overpaid. No, that's what I always say.
Underpaid.
I always say overpaid. That's the problem. Yeah, I haven't been on that podcast yet, but
okay.
Wait, real quick for Trey.
That's a
The
great
first
song.
things I remember are frosty Carolina mornings with a cheery fire crackling in my mama's big black wood cook stove.
I feel like you've played this.
I
for me
remember
before.
snowflakes as big as goose
On
feathers,
vinyl.
the moon the color of new-made country butter, and a night sky like diamonds against black velvet, reaching from horizon to horizon. I remember when the biggest problems in my barefoot life were sand spurs and red anthills. I remember sitting with my granddaddy on the front porch and watching the last of that magnificent southern sun bleed away into the twilight sky. I remember Sunday school and kneel at the cross and trying to imagine what God
looked like.
Sunday dinner, short pants, haircuts, and a little puppy my daddy brought home to me, and I remember love. I remember steam puffing, fire breathing, awesome 10-wheel locomotives, and the conductor's watch looked as big as one of my grandmother's biscuits. I remember my mother smiling in a red and white checkered dress, and Christmas always seemed so far away. Yes, I remember you, Carolina, grand old lady of the South. I remember you as home.
You wouldn't get it being from Texas, Trey. You're not really from the South. But,
yeah, no,
there's
I've
no
never heard
about
a song about Texas.
Not one written. And it just
Don't
turns
bury
out
me
that
there.
the song that's number one is about Texas. Amarillo by
here we
Morning,
go.
George Strait.
Man. Okay, my quick hot take without thinking of it. And this is a guy that's not a Texas fan.
Okay.
I would vote Take Me to Texas higher than Amarillo by Morning because there's so much soul in that song that George Strait didn't write. But he's like, you know what? When I die, and he sings it. And he's like, take me to Texas. I would like, I mean, sometimes when I listen
You
to
have
songs,
been to his concert. Yeah.
I'm like, I'm not like, I'm a fan of George Strait, but I'm like, I have my beefs with Texas. I also love a lot of Texas stuff, but I'm like, you know what? I'm okay if you bury me there. Take me to Texas. Like, I'm a child of the Alamo. Take me there. I'm definitely a child of the Alamo now. You took it away from my wife. And then, take me to Texas. That's where my family's from.
Love it. But
all right. So
how do you feel about that number one song, Trey?
I don't think it's the best country song.
What would you put
the
there?
greatest country song? I think I like Blue Eyes Crying in the Rain.
Oof. Yes.
That's a good one. Yeah, there's no Willie Nelson on this list.
Willie Nelson.
Sad. No Waylon Jennings.
No Waylon Jennings.
Mamas don't let your babies grow up to be cowboys. It'd be really high for me.
Hank.
I like Mount Matride in there.
Yeah, I do agree with that.
Great song.
All right. So we can all agree Reba's out.
Definitely.
Oh, 100%.
Definitely.
And
Toby Keith.
I'd also agree Toby's out. Love him.
John Denver.
R.I.P.
R.I.P.
So we got to introduce 3 new songs.
What about Garth Brooks, Friends in Low Places?
Oh, get out of
Take
here.
it out. I think Toby Keith would agree with not being number 2.
Yes. He'd be rolling in his grave.
Toby's
I mean, I actually think if you were going to put Toby Keith on that list, I think his best song is I Should Have Been a Cowboy.
That's a good one.
I think it's his best song.
I would agree with that.
Reba, that was her best song, but get out of here. I do like that we gave Tammy a shot. I was watching the DNC last night, and Joe Biden said that women don't have access to electricity anymore. So I'm glad Tammy had a microphone back. I'm glad Tammy had a microphone back in the day.
I don't let Kaylee use any electricity.
Yeah. I'd be sitting in the dark at home right now.
Cut it off.
Wait, speaking of electricity and keeping the lights on.
Oh,
we don't have a guest this week. It's just 3 of us. So quick shout out to our sponsor, BW Tax. He actually does keep the lights on for us. Saw him today. He's like, who's the guest tonight? And I was like, no guest. He's like, this sponsorship could end real quick. And I said, I know. Who do you want me to have on? He's like, I thought you were going to have Steven Garcia on. I was like, we're just a week ahead. Don't worry. And he was like, I'll give you a couple more weeks, but he's on the edge. So
dang.
Thank you, B-Dubs. And to our listeners, as I always say, it's never too late to start thinking about tax season, especially as you cross the fiscal year, which we're not far from.
True.
Once you cross that fiscal year, as Marines will call it, a physical
year.
But they're not talking about January 1. They're talking about October 1, the physical year. It's
called phase line fiscal.
Yeah. I mean, start talk. Whenever October 1 hits, I'm like, I got to talk to my tax guy. So if you don't have a tax guy, bwtaxllc.com. I feel like we have to put the country music to rest, or Trey will just get up and we didn't mention Glenn Campbell.
No Dolly Parton. I think you put Jolene on that list.
Okay, I got a place to go.
Oh, that's a good one.
Jolene's go. I got a place to go right from here. Post Malone.
Oh yeah.
What about
number 1?
Okay, so I need.
He's released a country album.
No, and so I want to talk about that. So I heard the song with Stapleton. It's called like California Hangover or California Hillbilly or California High or California DUI. It's something along those lines.
Oh.
And then someone said to me, like, Post Malone released a country album. So we're driving from the upstate to the low country. My wife's asleep, pregnant, obviously. And I'm like, I want to see this album. So I look it up on my car and the picture pops up and it's a square body Ford, but fixed to repair daily. But it's up on end on like a bed of ice, like a lake, frozen.
Okay.
I'm like, it's actually a pretty good picture. So I click on it. I'm like, you know what? She's asleep. I got to drive for 2 hours. I'm just going to listen to it start to finish. Well, but first I click on it. Chris Stapleton, Brad Paisley, Dolly Parton, Lainey Wilson. I need to pull this up so I don't mess it up because I want you.
Combs,
Luke Combs,
yeah.
Luke Combs, who I never liked, but since marrying my wife, I was like, you know what? Country's coming back. Like he's pretty good. I'm just gonna pull it up. Hang on. God, PG is just crushing me right now. All right. Tim McGraw, Hank Williams Jr., Morgan Wallen, sucks. Blake Shelton, Dolly Parton, one on his own. Brad Paisley, Luke Combs, Lainey Wilson, Jelly Roll, sucks. Ernest, never heard of you. Sierra Farrell, never heard of you. Luke Combs, like.
Sierra Farrell's
Farrell's
really
good.
Sierra Farrell's really good.
She's country? I've never heard of her.
Yeah,
I actually like the song. I actually liked the song.
Trey introduced me to her.
I never heard. Okay.
Yeah, she's super good.
Chris Stapleton, Hardy.
Don't know him.
Have we ever heard of Hardy? Never heard of Hardy. Another one by himself, Mexico featuring Billy Strings.
Yeah, super good.
Yeah, he's good.
That's a great song, and not just because I'm half Mexican. And then Yours, which made me cry a lot because it's about his baby daughter.
His daughter, yeah,
born.
I've heard that one.
Yeah, it's actually like a really good song. I actually sent it to a lot of people. But so I listened to the album. There's a couple songs in there that I would call country. Most of it I wouldn't, but I wouldn't call them not country.
It's
right?
like very poppy country.
Yeah, it's very poppy, but it was good. And then my wife, she wakes up. I'm like, I've been crying for like 30 minutes. I got to play you this Yours song. So I play it for her. And then she's like, do you know like Post Malone is? I was like, I know he has a lot of tattoos and dances and sings with Morgan Wallen. And Morgan Wallen's
nailed it.
fake
That's him.
Yeah. And she's like, no, he wanted to like go into rock and roll and no one would sign him. So he was like, well, where will people sign me? And like whoever his handlers were, that's what we call them in powerlifting. I don't know what you call them in music. But they were like, you should rap. So he rapped, got a name. I couldn't name you one of his rap songs. Maybe you guys can call my bluff there and say I would know one of them.
You would.
But
I don't know the names of them, but you'd like, oh, I've heard this song. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
And
then he was like, got big and was like, okay, now I'm gonna sing country. And I gotta say, I'm not saying it's the greatest country music ever, but like in terms of you're driving down the interstate, listen to music, it's a good album. Like it is a good album. And the Hank Williams Jr. song is good. The Stapleton song is my favorite. And because it's about California, which I like. The Yours song is like by far my favorite, but yeah, it's good.
He's got some good,
he's super talented.
Yeah. He's got like some good country covers, like, over like the last 7 years on YouTube, like some
Sturgill Simpson. I know it was a big one.
Yeah, Sturgill, love that guy.
Yeah, he's good. He's always smoking a cigarette and drinking a Bud Light when he's like playing. And
I mean,
like, this guy just has fun. Lives in Utah.
That's where creativity comes from. I actually saw
cigarettes and Bud Light.
I actually saw a meme today that I sent to someone, and it was like, quitting vaping is so easy. And it was a picture of like a Parliament light and a Budweiser. like a guy's hands. No, that was really funny.
Dude.
Have we exhausted music? We're big music podcast.
Big music podcast.
Any Jack White updates?
I got nothing else on music.
Okay. All right. I was on Pitchfork the other day. Jeff, tell me what I saw.
Oh, on Pitchfork, it was a review of Jack White's album No Name. And it was just
what ranking did he get?
He got a 7.6, which I feel like is okay for Pitchfork is very like high and mighty.
Snooty.
Yeah, they're very like, but what really irked me was like they were very dismissive of like all the stuff he did with the White Stripes. They're like, what seemed like this very authentic, like free kind of like, cool guy persona was actually like this very calculated, like, act that he was putting on. It's like, well, yeah, it was, but it was really good. I don't know. They're just very dismissive of the White Stripes.
I don't like that. In respect to Little Debbie, I have a lot of problems with that. But I do want to ask about the scoring system because I don't know Pitchfork.
Out of 10.
No, I got that part. but I want to put a correlation to it. So, I'm going there, but I want to stop somewhere. I want to stop at BW Tax first. I told BW Tax, I was like, hey, The Instigators on Apple TV. Hilarious. I'm like, I love it. The first 15 minutes is just a roast of the town. Like they're like trying to rob someone and they're like, in the town, they're like, the driver's name is Arthur Shea, 5'8". Every morning he cracks the Boston Herald while his partner opens up the back of the truck or whatever they say. And so they like spoof off of that. It was hilarious. And so I was like, dude, I'm like, this movie's hilarious. And he just sends me back a screenshot of Rotten Tomatoes and they're like 44%. And I'm like, is that bad? And he's like, and he writes back, yes, but who cares if you enjoyed it? And that's why I love BW, because it's like, if you like your tax return and you won over on the government, who cares?
Very true. You got to do the audience score on Rotten Tomatoes.
Oh, I don't know. I don't even know what I mean, I know what a Rotten Tomato is. I picked him as a kid, but
so Rotten Tomatoes, before we get into Pitchfork scoring system, Rotten Tomatoes.
And before we go to Dave Portnoy.
Yeah.
Before we go to Dave Portnoy, Rotten Tomatoes has a critic score, which is the 44%, but then they also have the audience score. So recently if it's a low critic score, it's usually been a pretty high audience score.
So should you go to regional, like if you go to the Northeast and see what that audience score is, and then
I don't think
like
it's Rotten Tomatoes. I don't know if they're that sophisticated.
I mean, Rotten Tomatoes are grown in the South and
yeah, true, yeah.
So no, 7.60.
Mm-hmm.
Portnoy. Let's take it to a pizza review.
Yeah.
I just watched one today. He's on the Jersey Boardwalk.
I saw that one too.
Yeah, so he does one. And it's a 6.9, which is like kind of bad. Yeah, nice. It's nice. But like, it's like decent. And then he goes over and he asks the guy comes out to him while he's there. He's like, are you open late? The guy's like, yeah, I'm open late. He's like, if you're open late, it's not great. He goes, that doesn't apply to us. So he eats the pizza and he's like, I really don't want to put it in the 7s. But like, he'll never do a 0.0. But he thought it was better than the place he had just gone to, a 6.9. So he went 7.1. But the real important thing is if you cross 8s, you're allowed to drive at least 30 minutes to go get it. Mm-hmm. So 7.6, is that like on Pitchfork, which I've never heard of? Is that like, hey, it's decent?
I'd say average.
It's not worth, like it's kind of average.
It's pretty, I would liken it to Dave Portnoy's pizza scale. Okay. And that like 7.6, not bad, but like.
Yeah. I wouldn't go out of my way to listen to it.
Yeah, but I think it's better.
Like
than 7.6.
I mean, I would. Yeah. I've listened.
I would look up the ranking for like which Jack White's best album. Do you think?
Well, technically, it's the one that they played in Germany in an amphitheater. That the recording they lost, but the way the sound reverbed off of it, and there was one recording, but it was taken by someone, and they flew it back to Detroit. And they found his old coworker, and it's currently inside of a couch somewhere in America that we don't know where it is.
We don't know where it is.
That's the best recording. Outside of that, I'm always going to go Thinking About My Doorbell, that album. Get Behind Me, Satan. It's a great album.
That's a good one. Are you saying Jack White like solo album or any Jack White like project?
I mean, there's
like,
the Dead Weathers, the Raconteurs.
So here's the thing. I guess the Pitchfork just doesn't like Jack White.
No, I don't think they do.
So Get Behind Me, Satan, 7.3.
Oof, that's rough.
Which I think that's silly.
That is silly.
So
I think Toby Keith would agree with that.
Yeah, dead Toby Keith would agree.
This is a music episode.
Yeah, we have to get off of music ASAP.
Get off of music.
Jeff, next slide.
Let's see. Not music related at all. Grant, you had a starting strength camp that you ran in South Carolina.
Yeah.
Can you explain
what
goes into one of these camps and then how it went?
Yeah, had a squat and deadlift camp. So
are people coming in for that? Like pretty far?
Yeah, so it's super interesting. So if we just did a camp in Costa Mesa the same day. We did one in Greenville recently. And if it's like low price point, hey, come and learn how to lift, it's whatever. But if you're like, this is a starting strength camp, I didn't have a single person from Greenville. We had Atlanta, Tennessee, I forget the town, Augusta, Georgia, Charlotte, Columbia, South Carolina. They capped them at 8. I'm forgetting some cities, but anyway, yeah. So we sold it out. One person couldn't come. I think we had 7 lifters, and it's just funny whenever you do a starting strength camp. Cause like in California, the same day they had a camp of 22 people, which makes sense. It's $50. We tell the gym members like, hey, invite your friends. And we get some starting strength people to those because they find out like there was people from San Francisco and like,
that's pretty cool.
Las Vegas. No, it is cool, but I'm always like, you're going to be let down. Like this is 1 hour. No. You're going to get great coaching, but I just mean this is like 1 hour. This is designed for like Abby doesn't lift. And Trey's like, hey, my gym is offering this thing. But some of the people that want a starting strength thing, they're like, whoa, starting strength coach for $50, which is great. And they got great coaching. But it's just funny because like in those things, you see women, you see old men, you see kids, because it'll be like a dad and he'll be like, oh, I want my son to come. Like I'll put him in. Whereas like at a starting strength camp, you see 40 to 60-year-old males and they love Mark Ripito and that's all you see. And it's great. Like it's fantastic. And they're all like lifting. I had 3 Army guys. Like everyone was fantastic. It's just funny. Like it's when you do it. I mean, of course you do. It's a starting strength camp. It's $300 for, a 5-hour session. Of course that's what they're going to pay for, but it's just funny, the demographic. And there's like, usually there's one woman, but there was none in this. And it's like, I messaged him because at the gym here in Greenville in the upstate, there was a like craft party in the complex, like an indie craft parade. It was called. Sounds it was right. Like a festival. Yeah. For climbing. Yeah. It was like a festival. And so I was like, hey, parking's going to be tough. We were starting at 10. And I was like, this is the diagram of the parking blocked off for us. Like when you come in, make sure you tell them you're going to the strength co. Otherwise you're going to get charged. And so I walked in at 9:30 to meet the camera guy to set up. And all of them were like in the cafe. And of course the Army guy's like, oh, of course the Marine is late. And I'm like,
sorry.
I'm 30 minutes early, but they'd all arrived early to avoid traffic. But yeah, traffic. No, it was that gate traffic, that drill traffic. But no, it was an awesome camp. We have a YouTube video. By the time this launches, we'll actually have 3 of them out showing it. And it's just cool, like seeing people that it's just a good mix. Like, we had 2 guys that had never lifted, but had bought the book and were like, I don't know what to do, but they were in the Southeast. And so they came, and those people, no offense to the other people, but they're always my favorite. Cause like, you're like, I always tell people, I'm going to pretend you know nothing. And everyone's like, yeah. And I'm like, this is a power rack. These are J hooks. This is a barbell. This rough stuff's called knurling. And it's always fun when you have a couple people that are like, oh, I knew none of this.
Yeah, actually
like,
learning.
See these hash marks? This one's for Olympic lifting. This one's for power lifting. And they're like, oh. And so those guys, everyone made a lot of progress. But yeah, it was a good camp. And we're doing another one on October 5th in Charlotte at a CrossFit gym, no less. And it launched. We released it on Monday. There's 12 spots. I think we sold 6 in like the first 3 days. So not to sound like a internet guy, oh, there's only so many spots left. But that is one thing that Ripito actually does good. And I don't mean like him personally coaching, but he will not let you, because like I would make the argument to Mark, like, hey, give me 15 people in 5 hours. I can teach them all to lift your method. But he's like, nope. If there's 1 coach, there's 8 lifters. If there's 2 coaches, there's 12 lifters. And we'll be like, well, it's sold out in a month in advance. Can we add a 3rd coach? Nope. But it's kind of what makes it, pretty cool.
Exclusive.
Yeah. It's like there's all the memes. Massonomics does a great job on the memes of like 5 spots left, 4 spots left. Actually, all the spots are left. And it's like great. But like actually in starting strength, there's actually only so many spots. Yeah. And what's funny is like if you buy and can't go, they're like, too bad. And people are like, well, I'm in the Southeast. Can I go to this one? They're like, nope. As Ripito was like, if you buy a ticket to Bruce Springsteen and you don't go, guess what? Bruce Springsteen still plays.
Sound logic.
He's not wrong. No.
It's actually wrong. But one time I couldn't make a Bruce Springsteen concert one time. Wow. He goes, I can't play, guys.
Trey's not going to be there.
He postponed. Yeah, he postponed. So it sounds like you like the guys who like come in and you can kind of mold them because they, like you said, you just act like they don't know a ton. Now, on the inverse of that, can you spot like a high school football lifter immediately?
Yeah, I can spot a high. Yes, I can. But those people, I would also say, don't know a ton.
Yeah.
Right. I'd actually put them in the same camp. The problem would be if you saw a high school lifting coach. But the cool thing about starting strength seminars versus like what the guys, so all 4 of my starting strength coaches were coaching 22 people on Saturday, is you have a mixed bag. Over there, you have some people that know what starting strength is, and they basically want what I'm providing, like Mark Ripeto's gospel. But then you have half of the people that are like, I don't know why I'm here. Like, I'm Trey's wife, and he said, go to this thing.
Go to this, yeah.
Right. And so it's interesting. So it's kind of fun at a starting strength camp either way, because everyone's already bought in, right? They already are like, I want a low bar squat. And they'll tell you why they can't, and which are real issues usually. But like they've already like thought, they're already like bought in. It's like going to, I don't know. It's like going to a missions conference versus a revival. You go to a missions conference, everyone's like, we need to reach the world for God's truth. You go to revival, it's like, my dad drugged me here because I've been smoking cigarettes in the backyard and he thinks I need this, right? Like so it's like,
thanks for putting it into terms I understand.
Yeah, I need to put it in Southern terms, even though you're from Texas. But no, it's like kind of two different things. But no, it was a good camp. Those are always fun. And it's cool now. Like, to put the business spin on it now is that, like, I used to teach these camps and that was it. And now I'm like, hey, I'm going to show up to the camp. I'm going to have t-shirts to sell. I'm going to invite them to the Slack channel. Links in the show notes. I'm going to, offer them online coaching. We're going to film the whole thing and make, 5-6 YouTube videos. And I was thinking about that Saturday because I was like, wow, like I've done a lot of these camps and only like the last, year and a half have I made it worth more than, the money that day. I was just thinking about that, like business wise. And like, I was telling Diane, I was like, hey, show up at 215. Everyone looks like they're between a large and a 3XL. Of course, they're starting strength people. And, but she did. And like everyone got a t-shirt. Everyone's super cool. And what's also cool about starting strength camp is like Connor was telling me, cause he was in California, and he was like, yeah, no, everything went great. Like, it was a great camp. Like, people bought this, people bought that. He's like, but there's always that like job of like, I can tell these people don't know what's happening and these people are here for a specific thing. Whereas like when I walked in at 9:30, 30 minutes before it started, everyone was best friends. They were like, did you listen to Ripeto's last podcast? And I was like, hell yeah, brother. And like, there's a pandemic coming. But it's cool. It's cool. So anyway, yeah, good camp.
Good camp. That's fun.
Success. And when's the next one? Say it one more time.
October 5th in Charlotte at CrossFit Mecklenburg. I'll be teaching it with Nick Delgadillo.
One spot available.
Who's I haven't looked today, but I got a message from the Ripeto team yesterday that was like, we posted this and 6 spots sold. But what was funny is the two guys that had never lifted and one guy that was a big fan. I mean, they were all big fans, but they were like, hey, when can we keep coaching again? And I was like, well, like the next thing we're doing, they're like, oh, we're buying it. Is the link out? And so I haven't looked at the names to see if they match, but a lot of them are probably coming again, which is cool, which is great. Awesome. Yeah, it's good. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Speaking of being powered by the Strength Co. Trey had a question.
Real quick, I gotta tell one more thing about this. So we went to church Sunday, and we talked to this girl here that runs like the welcoming thing. And like on the way out, Diane and I ran into her and we were talking to her. We're like, oh, what'd you do this weekend? She was like, I was at the Indie Craft Parade. And I was like, oh, we ran a camp there. And she's like, of crafts? I thought you were like lifting. I was like, no. Yeah. Like in the complex, we had a lifting thing. And she's like, oh. I was like, when did you get there? She's like, 9. I was like, yeah, parking was crazy, right? She's like, when did you start? I was like, I started at 10 and we went from like 10 to 3. And her mind just like exploded. She's like, you made people work out for 5 hours? I was like, well, there's like instruction and stuff. She's like, 5 hours? And I was like, Well, yeah, it's not like they're working out. She's like, you put them through it's like she couldn't wrap her mind around like people trying to understand a theory. It was just funny.
That's good.
Anyway,
She signed up. She's
Yeah.
yeah.
yeah,
She's
she's
going to
good
Charlotte.
people. Yeah,
Yeah.
she's in.
She's-
Yeah, there's only actually one spot left. She just texted me.
Wow.
She's bringing
She
the
bought all of them.
pastor. Yeah. Next slide.
Wow. All right. Yeah, we're powered by the Strength Co. Trey had
Yeah,
a
I
question related to the plates. Do you want to ask that, Trey, or you want me to read it out of the Slack?
Oh, read out Slack, man.
All right. Trey's question.
Do it for me.
Trey's
question.
And I kind of had a follow-on question for this. How long
Even better.
do plates last for? When do you know to buy new ones? And then best practices for maintaining equipment.
And I guess I'll preface that first part with I know it's however much you use them. Like it's going to depend, obviously.
When do you buy new ones? That's the preface for that question.
How long they last for.
Oh, how long they last? Yeah, I mean,
It's like how long are tires? How long do tires last for?
feature not bug. The cast iron plates aren't a tire. Like honestly, they'll last forever.
Yeah.
Like buy nice,
Good
don't
point.
buy twice. We are more expensive, but like I mean, the answer to that question is you need to get stronger, so you need more. But I mean, actually, the plates. Someone was asking me this recently about rust, and I was like, I have seen rust on our plates. Seen them in two places. Seen it in Houston, a gym that's now closed, but it was on the Gulf.
Checks out.
There was no AC, and it was
It's
open.
called Rusty's.
Yeah, it was open. It was called
Rusty's
Russell's, actually.
Everyone got tetanus and so it
Yeah.
closed down.
I can't stop laughing. No, but the place was open air. I went there 3 years after the plates had been there. And there was topical rust. So E-coat won't rust on the surface, but it could rust or it won't rust on the underneath the surface. It could
Makes sense.
call it the core, but it could rust on the surface. So I saw some rust there, and it was like not like, I have a pair of plates when we were kind of researching pig iron and doing this thing for CT Fletcher. A guy sent me a set of plates. I got them. They look great. Somehow they ended up on my porch. I love my wife, but somehow they ended up on my porch. And then one day I looked out the window and I was like, oh, those are rusted now, because they were like bare iron. So they won't do that where the whole thing is, but you'll get like surface spots, and they're generally where people touch them a lot. It needs to be a really humid area. And I would make the argument you don't need to buy new plates if that happens. You could just get like a little bit of 3-in-1 oil on a rag and probably just wipe it off. On top of E-coat, it's just going to be topical.
Yeah.
What was the second question?
When do you know would you know to buy new ones?
Oh, I mean, the real answer is, and this is bad for business, if you own old cast iron plates, they can all, like, cast iron can be cast iron.
Yeah.
Like my uncle sent me a cauldron for me to make chicken bog. We can cover that in a future episode. And it was like a rusted mess. And I did like a whole thing with a wool brush and oil and cleaned it and then oiled it and then baked it. And like, it looks like brand new. It's like, you can always like clean up that stuff. The only caveat I would give is like bumpers.
Yeah.
Especially in CrossFit gyms can break down. Like the ones we use 303 stainless steel. It's put in with like 7,000 pounds of pressure so the inner hub doesn't die. But like if you're dropping them on a concrete driveway, like constantly, like recycled rubber is going to wear.
Yeah.
So it's like if you're starting to see, and we've seen in the Marine Corps, like you go to like a Marine Corps gym and like you see chunks out of it and stuff, and it says it's 45 pounds, but you like see pieces missing. You're like, probably not 45 pounds anymore. But with our plates, I mean, honestly, if you lived in a really humid area and there was surface rust, which I've only seen twice, the other place was in Boston. You could clean it, but if you really didn't want to clean it, like it's fine. Like the weight is still the same weight. Yeah. But
what about bar maintenance?
Yeah, bar maintenance. I wanted to do a video at my mom's gym, so I went while I was home in the Low Country, I worked out at my mom's gym, and they have the original Rogue BNR bar that I bought them. And then my mom has since bought I want to do a gym tour with her. I didn't do it this time because it was her birthday. I didn't want to like stuff a camera in her face. But like what I appreciate is she buys everything, right? So like I went to work out in there and I was like, there are so many Strength Co flags in here and there are so many American flags in here. And she bought them all for me. And one of the things that was funny is she has like the Gadsden yellow or melted iron, we call it, yellow flag. And we had a run of those where they printed it and they folded it too soon. And so when the black hit the yellow and people unfolded, it was blue. And we probably had like 15 customers complain like, hey, there's stains on my flag. And we replaced them. But I walk in and my mom has the stains. Of course, she didn't complain, right? And then I'm looking at like all the stuff she's bought, the Semper Fi bar, the curl bar, like bumpers, like 35s, which like I had actually never gotten to lift with 35s or 35s until this weekend. I was like, this is actually pretty cool. So she had everything. But I'm looking at my dad's Rogue BNR bar. They live in the Low Country, high humidity, and it's rusted to crap. And my mom was like, yeah, I don't like your dad's bar. It's full of rust. That's why I bought that one. And I bought the Audrey bar and I bought this bar. And I'm like, yeah, no, I get it. And my dad's like, well, what could I do to that thing? I was like, well, we could go out there right now with 3-in-1 oil and like a wool brush on a drill head. And like in an hour, we could have that thing clean. He's like, but how long would it take to rust again? I was like, right now in August in South Carolina, like a month. Yeah. He's like, so what would I have to do? I was like, you'd have to wipe that thing down and bust rust. He's like, well, why are all your bars look great? I was like, well, some people like that act. Like some people enjoy changing their own oil. I was like, I don't. Like when I'm in the gym, I want to lift. I don't want to like maintain equipment. So like Ripito, and I disagree on this. He loves bare steel. He does bare steel with everything because he likes the way it turns colors. And he's like, yep, you have to do maintenance. I'm like, I don't want to do maintenance. Like I want to like put oil in the bushings at the end of the barbell once a year and that's it. Like I don't want to do anything. You don't have any bare steel though, do you, Trey?
No.
Yeah, you're good. You're good.
Unless you just started making some randomly. But
no, I could. I've actually had people request that. Can I buy your bar but with no coating? I'm like, no. You sound like a problem.
I got tetanus.
Yeah.
Rusty's gym.
Strength Co.
I love Rusty's gym down there in Houston. I'll see you there after the Red River shootout.
Have you ever seen anything like crazy happen to Strength Co plates? Like somebody do something like, probably user error or something like that. Where they're like, my plate broke in half.
The only thing I've never seen anything with our cast iron. Yeah. I've never seen and I'm not lying. I've never seen anything weird. The only thing I've ever seen with our cast iron is when we first started machining them, like maybe the first 2 years, I was like 1.99 inner diameter plus or minus 2. And so we do some at 1.97. So that's the opening of the plate. The industry standard for a barbell is 1.95. But what I learned is that like China and even some companies have already said it once. So now I can say it like Rogue, the Ohio bar is notoriously out of tolerance. They'll have a plate that won't fit.
Okay.
So I finally told my machine shop, I'm like, can we just go 1.99 in plus? And the machine shop we ended up with after a few years, they're like, yeah, and they nail it. So we never have plates that don't fit. But the one problem I've had is if someone has like a Dick's Sporting Good bar or like something that's not made to spec, their plate won't fit on. Or occasionally they'll buy like a leg press machine or like some type of storage rack.
Oh, gotcha.
And those companies will make them at 2 inches.
Yeah.
And at this point, like I don't replace that. Like, hey man, our plates are made for barbells. Like you bought a Chinese storage rack, not my fault.
I sell storage racks.
Yeah, exactly.
There's a link to the storage rack.
And they're a lot smarter than those. But no, I've never seen anything. The only other thing I would say is like our bumper 10s. I've had a few people complain. Like I think we've sold like 80,000 pounds of those now. And I've had people complain that they're flimsy And I'm always like, send me a photo.
Yeah.
And don't get me wrong, bumper 10s are flimsy.
Bumper 10s just,
Yeah,
no one makes a good one.
bumper 10,
no one makes a great one.
And then they'll have an iron 25 on top of it. And I'm like,
yeah.
well, yeah, that's not going to work. But we are. One thing we're just doing, and it's going to launch probably like September 1, is the 45s were 3.2 inches thick, like pretty thick.
Yeah.
And we're now, so it's recycled rubber with a urethane mix. And that's what it's been. But now we inserted buckshot.
Ooh.
So the new ones will be 2 inches thick. So they'll be not like half the size, but whatever that percentage is.
That's a significant.
Yeah, it's
change.
significant. So the bounce rate will go down significantly.
Nice.
And it's more compact. So yeah, that'd be cool. But no, I've never had any of our products like fail. On our collars, there's one plastic point when you clamp it. And if you clamp it a whole bunch, the plastic part wears out.
Okay.
And people will be like, it's not tight anymore. So we send them a new hex nut screw. We're like, hey, it's $1 for a new hex nut screw. They unscrew the one they have, screw in the new one. Like that's the only wear point.
Yeah.
But like, no, I mean, I feel like we've tried hard to make sure that stuff won't fail.
So to sum it up, the only time someone will need to buy new plates is
today.
When they've lifted all the ones that they have.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
Yeah.
All
Thanks,
right.
Trey, for bringing that down for landing.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Love it.
Good. Interesting stuff.
Just remember, I have a slide that'll be a shocker slide. But it'll take probably five minutes by each person. Jeff, just remember that.
I'm going to try to pull up the Slack questions or questions from the Slack.
Oh, yeah. We should do a few of those.
They actually had some good ones.
Were there?
Yeah, were there?
No, there were some good ones in there. Yeah, quick plug for the...
We love the interaction.
Quick plug for the Strength Co. Slack. If you're a listener, but you're not a member of the Slack, go ahead, check the show notes below on YouTube here. You'll see a link. There's some sort of discount, if I'm not mistaken.
Use code okay.
And you can get in there, talk with a bunch of lifters, talk about music, books, movies, form checks. You can post videos in there, talk with other people about your adult beverages, your coffee habits. And then occasionally we'll post questions from the Slack thing in there. So we'll get members of the Slack to put their questions that they want to have answered from the podcast here, and then we'll jump into those. So let me pull it up. I just had it.
I got it.
He's got it. Oh yeah, good one. This is Brian. I don't know if is it Channel? Maybe we'll call it Channel.
Well,
2 N's, 2
I'm
L's.
gonna say Chanel. He was at our camp this weekend,
nice.
but I don't know. All I know is every time I try to tag the channel, his name comes up.
It's Brian Channel.
Brian Channel. All right.
Brian Channel.
So we've got his question. All right. He's currently sick. And so he wants to know your thoughts on training when you're dealing with, some sort of illness, whether it be a cold, the flu, maybe something stomach related. Kind of, are there different ways to navigate the kind of different ailments that we might have while we're doing our training?
Trey, you want to give the amateur lifting answer first?
I feel like I think we talked about this maybe like on the first couple episodes.
It's okay. Only my mom's been listening since then.
Yeah, I was about to say, only Miss Broggi knows the answer. And if I remember correctly, if I was going to take a stab at this, I would say that training continues unless you're running a fever or throwing up.
Our most popular video 3 times in a row.
Wow.
We've posted that same reel 3 times in a row from one of our camps. And the opening line is, the only time you don't train is when you have a fever. And then like a thermometer pops up on the screen. And every time we've posted it, we've gotten in the millions of views. But that's my thought. If you have a head cold and you're not running a fever, go lift. Also, don't expect to go up 5 pounds from the last time, but you should go do something. If you have the sniffles, if you have something weird, if you have a fever and you're throwing up, don't touch it. And I always give the example. I did this one time. I was training for a meet. Everything was going well. I got sick. I got a fever. My fever was down to 99.1. And I was like, I'm good. I haven't trained in 6 days. I need to go lift. I went and did 5x5 squats. Boom, 102. So don't mess with it with a fever. Outside of that, like you have a cough, I wouldn't train to the point where like you're bringing on bronchitis, but like, if it's not, what is it? A virus that causes a fever? Like if it's not a stomach virus or like a fever, like I think you just train. Like if you're like, oh, a head cold's coming on, go into the gym, and like the gym will tell you. That's the good thing is like, it'll tell you like, oh, I should probably stop. And I knew that the day I squatted 5x5 with a fever. Like I did it and like my body was hot. I was drinking so much water, but I'm like, got a meet coming up, got to do it. And, I didn't bring it back on. There's something with the stress that with a fever, like stops the recovery. But outside of that, like, good training.
Now, would you like, and I think you touched on this, like, let's say you do have a fever and you're trying to get back into it. That next one, you're not hopping straight back into your like linear progression. Like, are you easing back? Are you easing back into it?
Yeah, you're easing back in. If you had a fever, I would not go touch the weights until the fever's gone. And I would probably, the day the fever's gone, like just go for a walk, like maybe a brisk walk. Because if you still have a little bit of a virus in you, like even that'll get it going. And then if you go for a brisk walk the day you think your fever's gone and you're fine, I'd do the same thing. Like the video we have, how to starting strength, like going with an empty bar, squat that, add a little bit of weight, squat that, feel good, add a little bit of weight, and like go up to something like kind of hard and stop. And then, the next time be like, okay, I squatted whatever, 205 for 5 last time. Let me go try to do that for 205 for 3 sets of 5. But if this is 2 days later and now you're 4 days removed from your fever and you were squatting 275 beforehand, maybe you go in and you're like, 205 is way too easy, but you'll know. But go in on the coming off of fever. I would definitely go in off of the like conservative approach your first 1 to 2 sessions back.
Mm-hmm. If you got diarrhea, be careful.
If you got diarrhea, just wear good shorts. Yeah. That's what I always say.
Straight kill diarrhea shorts.
Coming soon.
Coming soon.
All right.
Good job, Mr. Channel.
Yeah.
Next question
from
comes
Tennessee.
from
Big Volunteers fan, by the way.
Oh.
He's like really excited about the Sports Channel Talk Vols.
The real UT. I like it.
Nice. Next question comes from Garrett Lyon. Do we know anything about Garrett?
Longtime gym member.
Oh, okay.
Longtime gym member, Costa Mesa. Big active guy in the cocktails thread.
Love that.
Hope he takes that as a compliment. Yeah.
His question, right? Lifting while...
We're worried about you.
This is actually an intervention, Garrett. You're making a lot of posts. And
no, Garrett, you're good. You're good, brother.
Messing with you,
keep
brother.
posting. We love it. We love it. But Garrett's question, lifting while in physical therapy, is this a good idea?
Have you guys both been to physical therapy?
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to come off as the expert, but Jeff, what do you think?
If your physical therapist is telling you to stop lifting, you should probably find a different physical therapist, I think.
I agree. Yeah.
There's definitely, just kind of depending on what it is, like if your leg's broken and you're rehabbing that, like it may look a little different, but
don't squat.
They should be working in some sort of plan that keeps you moving in some form or fashion in the gym, whether it's lifting or if you're a CrossFitter or a runner or whatever it is. And yeah, hopefully like at your physical therapy facility, there's a rack and there's a barbell and there's plates, and they want to keep you training and keep you moving, whether to say we're just modifying the range of motion, we're modifying the load, whatever it is. That's sort of things you should be looking for, I think, when you walk into a physical therapy office, or if you're shopping around for one on the internet, look at pictures, kind of see what their setup is. It should look a lot like a gym.
Trey, you're in your mid 30s. You got any thoughts on physical therapy? You must have been at least once.
Man, I'll be honest with you. I don't think I have.
You only know lifting and drinking.
That's it.
No, I'd say Jeff's spot on. I mean, I like one, if your physical therapist isn't trying to get you to move, I think that's a problem, right? Like I think and not just like they shouldn't, like I'm not saying stims are bad. I'm not saying cupping's bad. I'm not saying racquetballs stuffed into your butt cheeks bad. It's weird, but it's not bad. But like those things can sometimes help. I often think they're placebo effect, but I think the placebo effect is real.
Mm-hmm.
But I think your physical therapist should be trying to get you to move. And I don't like, and this is maybe gym owner in me, it's like, hey, I hurt my back. I went and saw my physical therapist. They told me not to lift for 6 weeks. And I just always go into like basic stuff like, hey, okay, so you're in physical therapy. Have you gone grocery shopping this week? Yeah, I went to Costco yesterday. How'd you get all that stuff in? I parked in the garage and I picked it up out of the back of the car and I carried it in. Was there like boxes full of steak, hopefully, and not like Beyond Burgers? Yeah, there was. So you picked those up and you walked them in? Yeah, I did. And I'm like, okay, so like at a minimum, do you not think you can come in here and squat an empty bar? And the answer is often, it's usually like kind of pride related. It's like, well, yeah, but I was squatting 275. Why would I come squat an empty bar? I'm like, well, because squatting empty bar, doing that movement may be the very thing that gets you back to squatting 275. And then ask the question that Jeff says is like, is your physical therapist making you do full body range of motion movements? Because like, let's just think about it. I don't know. You hurt your piriformis. Like your piriformis is driving you nuts. Your sciatica. Like how much damage can deadlifting 65 off the ground do to that? How much damage can squatting 45 pounds do to it? Probably not much. And like maybe those full body range of motions make it feel better. So yeah, I mean, yes, you can lift when you're in physical therapy. And I'm with Jeff. If your physical therapist is telling you don't lift, it's not even, don't think of it as lift. Don't think of it as like deadlifting 315. Think of it as full range of motion, loaded movement. And I don't care if it's 45 pounds, if it's 95 pounds, but like you should be going and trying to do that. And I mean, that's took me a lot to learn. Like when Jeff and I lived together in Carlsbad, my sciatic was fired up and I was at chiropractic. I was at physical therapist. Like nothing worked. And so I'm like, well, I'm just going to go back in the gym. Actually, this happened to me this week. I had my mom's house yesterday. I squatted using 35s, 385, 5 sets of 5. 35s are make it real nice to load. And like on my fifth set, nothing popped, nothing happened. But I actually went to set up. I was like, I'm going to press outside. I was about to coach my guys on Zoom. I was like, I don't want to be in this hot garage, like, and worried about like hitting overhead. I was like, I'm just going to set up outside. And as I was setting outside, I was like, man, my back hurts. Not bad, but like it felt funny. And like I've been lifting long enough that I'm like, yeah, it's probably fine. So I was like, you know what I'm gonna do? And this is like opposite physical therapist advice. I was like, I'm just gonna power clean before I press. And so I started power cleaning and like using my back, I feel nothing now. Like after like 3 sets of power clean, I worked at like 205. I was like, I feel great. And I pressed whatever I pressed. But yeah, no, I think if you're like, yes, you should lift in physical therapy. You should forget your numbers and your numbers may come, right? Like your numbers, you may end up hitting the same thing you're supposed to hit, but I don't think you should be worried about the numbers of like, oh, I was deadlifting 275, but you should be trying to do those movements. Because again, the way we're teaching these movements, it is physical therapy. Like that's the whole point. Like we're not trying to make anyone a power lifter. I mean, if you want to power lift, great. But it's like, you know, you're trying to be strong and healthy. But yeah, anyway, next question.
All right. Next question comes from Kevin Sirkin.
Don't know.
Maybe.
What's up,
Big Kev?
Big
Kev's question.
Long-time listener.
Should you be as sore with the program as you would be with a higher volume exercise program? I'm guessing the
I feel like Jeff's got a good
program
answer on this.
being like the novice linear progression.
The program.
The program.
Yeah.
Good old
The
NLP.
Broggi Ram.
Should you be sore?
I'm assuming he means should you be as sore doing 3x5 as you would be doing a Dr. Mike Israetel hypertrophy sets of 12. I assume he means some like contrast of like 3 sets of 5 versus 3 sets of 20.
I mean, you'll probably get more soreness from that stuff. And again, a lot of it's just going to be, I mean, I don't know if you've been doing the program and then like you switch over to some like bodybuilding thing, right? You're probably hitting new range of motion. There's gonna be new muscles, like it's a new novel stimulus. And so you'll probably feel some soreness from that, just from then doing high volume repetitions. So, there's like, that leg day was killer. I couldn't walk down the stairs for next week because you did a bunch of exercises that you don't normally do for high repetitions for multiple sets. And then, maybe the next week, all right, it's different exercises. You're going to hit Bulgarian split squats instead of front squats. And so now like you're kind of introducing new exercises all the time, whereas like your body doesn't actually kind of have a chance to really acclimate to that stimulus. So that's why I feel like oftentimes that soreness like keeps reoccurring with programs like that. Vice doing barbell stuff. All right, your body knows what that stimulus is, and you're adding more weight, and then eventually, kind of the soreness goes away, and you're not getting that soreness workout to workout because you've had the chance to actually like develop to that stress or acclimate to that stress.
What were you gonna say, Trey?
Jeff nailed it, man. I was going to ask, I'm like, soreness is, correct me if I'm wrong, just not indicative of a good workout. It's indicative you just never done that movement.
New range of motion that you're not accustomed to. I mean, so to answer his question as intelligently as I can as a homeschool boy from the low country. I would say
I keep thinking you're high country. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm an upstate guy now, but
okay.
That's where I got my education, in the upstate. But no, I would say, so if you went in, let me open with this. If you went in and did 3 sets of 20 air squats, a high rep program, you'd be super sore. But then if every day you did 3 sets of 20 air squats, you would not be super sore. If you went in and did 3 sets of low bar squats for sets of 5, and you never low bar squatted for 4 before, you'd be super sore the first time. But then if you did that every other day, you would not be sore. Soreness comes from new eccentric range of motion, eccentric meaning muscle elongating, that we're unaccustomed to. So the problem with high rep stuff is usually like, so right now, yesterday I squatted 385 for 5 sets of 5. A lot of people would think like, man, Grant's strong. If I went tomorrow and did Murph, which would consist of 300 air squats, I'd be wrecked because of the number of eccentric range of motions that would happen in those body weight squats. So no, and yes. The deal on the side of high rep stuff is generally high rep programs always change, like kind of like what Jeff was saying, like 3 sets of 20 preacher curls today. Tomorrow, 3 sets of 20 leg curls. The next day, I don't know, 3 sets of 20 GHD sit-ups, right? And it's constantly changing, and you're dealing stuff where muscles are elongating. Like, yeah, you're always going to be sore. And like Trey said, it's not indicative of good workout. But like, no, if you're running, like if he means by the program starting strength, we can also say strong lifts. We can also say 5-3-1, something where you're like squatting in a similar manner in a rep range of 1 to 8 a few times a week. Like, yeah, when you first start, you'll be sore, but after that, you should not be sore. Like you really shouldn't be. So yeah.
Do you think that goes the other way too? Like, let's say you're doing a high rep 5x5 kind of thing, and then you have a day where you just hit a couple singles, heavy singles, would you be sore after that? Or
no, so you wouldn't be sore. I would make the argument. I often tell people if I'm programming you and you're kind of strong and like you have a day where you're singles, I always tell guys like you're not going to feel sore like where you're walking funny, but you are going to feel beat up. Right. So like if you squat and generally so let's say a guy's running 3 sets of 5, it becomes an intermediate. Like a lot of guys I put like heavy 5s, let's say on the deadlift, 1 week, 3s in the next week, and then the top single the next week. Well, where do people make mistakes if they're trained? They make mistakes at the heaviest loads. So like if they're squatting a heavy single or they're deadlifting heavy single, their knees might do something funny. They'll make a mistake and then they'll feel, I don't want to say pain because that's okay. I'll put it there. But they'll feel,
motivate me.
Pain in my knees. That's okay. No, but they'll feel pain or discomfort. But it's like, yeah, man, like you pulled a heavy single, like double your body weight. Of course you feel some discomfort and that's okay. I put it there. No, but that's okay. A lot of listeners won't get that. Mom won't get that. Sorry, Mom. But no, I would make the argument that, let's say you're coming back from a layoff right now, Trey, and you haven't deadlifted in a while. If you, let's say twins are going crazy, you're busy and you're like, I want to get back in the gym and you're a strong guy. You're a great example because you could probably pull 450. You probably pull 495 for a single right now if you wanted, right?
Yeah, I guess if I had to. Yeah.
Thereabouts, right? Like thereabouts. So you pull, could we agree you could pull 405 for a single? 100%. Let's make it like something everyone could digest, right? Yeah. So if you're like, hey, I want to get back into it, let me see where I'm at, and you worked up and you pulled 405 for a single and you hadn't lifted in a month, you wouldn't be sore. You wouldn't be walking funny. You might feel like a little achy, but if you worked up and pulled 405 for 5 and you had deadlift in a month, your hamstrings would be sore, right? Mm-hmm. Like, so it's the rep range. It's the same reason I'm saying I squat a 385, 5 or it's the same reason when you came back the other week and you were like, hey, what's a good program for me to run? And I ran it from you, not realizing you had a layoff, and you did 5x5 on day 1 and you were sore as crap, right? Like you were like, what is happening? But if you had gone to the same way and done a single, you would have felt nothing, right? It's volume and an eccentric range of motion that you're not accustomed to. That's soreness. So like, no, you shouldn't feel sore.
Math book.
Yeah, but you will feel like, to be clear, you will feel if you're lifting heavy, whether you're pulling triples or singles, you will feel like beat up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Are we ready for the shocker slide?
Yeah, we're ready. That was all the Slack questions.
Okay, cool. All right. So here's what I want to do. We did a great segment early in the season where we broke down college football teams. Didn't go very well. If we looked at the analytics, people didn't listen during that part and they came back. But we all made predictions of our teams, right? But now it's the week before college football.
I didn't do A&Ms.
Well, you're going to get a chance. That's the shocker slide. So, but now we're at the point, like I just listened to last week's guest, Stephen Garcia, Tailgate 547. I listened to the first episode this week.
Oh,
and man, I finished. And I was like, we can beat anyone, right? Like my perspective has completely changed. I'm fired up. Everyone's fired up, baby. And like, I know Trey has an Excel sheet where he tracked everything and like made sure everything matches, but I also know he doesn't have that Excel sheet. So this is going to be the episode that we draw back on later in the episode. So I don't want this tight end came out of Lubbock or whatever. I just want win or loss based off how you're feeling right now.
Woo. Okay.
And we're going to go through Auburn, Texas A&M, South Carolina in that order. And then we're going to grab this soundbite. So we got to go quick. Okay. And then we're going to post it. And then like, we're going to look back at that and think. So, Jeff, I got the schedule up. Don't worry. You ready?
I'm ready. I remember Jeff's answers last time.
So remember, this is against Auburn. So I'm just going to name the opposing team and where the game is. Alabama A&M at Auburn.
Win.
California at Auburn.
Win.
New Mexico at Auburn.
Win.
Arkansas at Auburn.
Win.
Oklahoma at Auburn.
Win.
Auburn at Georgia.
Now we're going to lose that game.
Auburn at Missouri.
We're going to win that game.
Auburn at Kentucky.
Win.
Vanderbilt at Auburn.
Win.
Louisiana Monroe at Auburn.
Win.
Texas A&M at Auburn.
Win.
Auburn at
They're gonna
Alabama.
win.
All right,
We got
so you
one
have
loss.
one loss
11
team.
and 1.
11 and 1.
Guys, I really
That's
came
what
back
it
down
is.
to earth, for my last prediction.
All right. You ready, Trey?
Am I doing A&M?
No, you're doing Texas.
Oh, I thought I was doing.
loss.
If
Yeah.
you want me to do Auburn too.
We saw adversity's horns off. No, you're doing Texas. All right. No, you're doing Texas A&M.
Send it.
Notre Dame at Texas A&M.
Win.
NC State at Texas A&M.
Win.
Texas A&M at Florida.
Win.
Bowling Green at Texas A&M.
Win.
Arkansas at Texas A&M.
Win.
Missouri at Texas A&M.
Loss.
Texas A&M at Mississippi State.
Win.
LSU at Texas A&M.
Loss.
Texas A&M at the University of South Carolina Gamecocks.
That's a dub.
New Mexico State at Texas A&M.
Win.
Texas A&M and Auburn.
I agree with Jeff. Loss.
Texas at Texas A&M.
I'll go with the loss there as well.
Okay. All right. Someone has to read it to me. I can't read my own.
You got it?
I got 8.
It's not the same.
Oh, gosh. Old Dominion at South Carolina.
When?
South Carolina at Kentucky.
Loss.
South Carolina at home against LSU.
Loss.
Akron at home.
When?
Ole Miss at home.
When?
On the road at Alabama.
Loss.
On the road at Oklahoma.
Loss.
At home against Texas A&M.
When?
At Vanderbilt.
When?
At home against Missouri.
When?
Home against Wofford.
When?
In Death Valley against the Taters. Clemson.
Loss.
Okay.
7-1
So
season.
you got 7 wins.
think we get 7. I may be off on which
Wow.
games, but I think we get 7.
I can see that.
Wow.
I think
okay.
early on I said 11 and 1 as well.
No, I think you said 5 wins.
I think
had
you
5
were
wins,
lower
if I
last
remember
time.
correctly.
Yeah, I think we're gonna be. I don't know. NIL transfer portal. It's tough to say.
Who knows?
I would switch OU and Ole Miss for you.
Yeah, that's fair. I think
Yeah,
something's
it's-
going to be weird there. Like I feel like
True.
we're playing West teams we don't usually play. We swap Tennessee, Georgia, and Florida for Alabama,
OU.
LSU, and OU. So something's
Yeah,
like,
That's a
you
tough-
could be
That's
right.
a tough
That's
swap.
tough.
It is.
Yeah.
I feel like okay. Can we all agree Auburn has the
Oh, yeah.
easiest schedule?
Oh, 100%. 100%.
By a large margin.
Dude, definitely.
Um,
I forgot that Texas A&M was opening against Notre Dame. I'm like, ooh, that should be fun to watch.
That's fun though.
That's fun to watch.
what
I love that.
it's fun to
College game
watch
day.
and just like punch me in the face game
Yeah.
1.
Yeah.
Like you know what I mean? Like I feel like teams like you beat Akron or Old Dominion,
Like-
which I actually think Old Dominion could totally beat us. But like you beat Old Dominion, like who are we? Like you beat Notre Dame. How good is Notre Dame? But like you beat like it builds team
Oh, yeah,
confidence.
yeah,
You know what I mean?
Sure.
Or you lose and it's like, oh, we lost game 1.
But it's also kind of nice thing because maybe that bolsters your strength of schedule, but you can bounce back from like an early loss
You can
like
bounce
that.
back.
Like people forget
Yeah.
about that if you
Well-
go the rest of the season and play well.
Notre Dame may go down,
Yeah.
but you lost to number 7
Yeah.
Notre Dame.
Yeah.
Right. And it's like,
Notre Dame is not number 7.
It's kind of like, sorry guys, I don't have many sound effects. At this point of the show,
On. Save round.
Ooh,
Oh,
send it.
wait.
Save round.
Say save round again.
Saved round. No, not even joking. So I'll be in Greenville for the A&M Notre Dame game. Abby was wondering. I miss
Sorry.
PJ.
Big soundboard guy.
I miss PJ.
Big soundboard guy.
What's Abby was wondering what the chow scene's like there.
I
I was
mean,
gonna see give me your three great spots that your go-to.
so we want to watch the game, be able to entertain 2 6-month-olds out
they
of the
sleep.
sunlight.
Yeah, they sleep.
Okay.
So I would say one game watching place.
Okay. Wait,
You got a good spot?
I thought you were going to say 2 and then 3. You just want one game watching space?
Well, we're only watching the A&M Notre Dame game.
Oh, I mean, I think
These are all potential sponsors.
yeah, my number one spot would be Yeehaw.
Yeah.
Which has a huge outdoor area, but also has an indoor area. But the indoor area is not cooled. It's not AC. It has fans, but people can sit in there. But it's a huge screen. It's a screen every time I go to watch Manchester United or Liverpool or all the games I really care about.
Premier League is
Whenever
back.
I'm watching Barcelona play
Real Madrid.
Venezuela. Yeah, Real Madrid. That's where I go. No, but I would say that's number one for you want to watch. That's where I watch the women's Gamecocks win the national championship. Great spot.
Okay.
Number 2.
Just good chow spot on number 2.
So we're not watching the game. We're still watching the game.
Let's do not watching the game.
Home team barbecue.
Home team barbecue.
Quick answer.
Yeah, home team barbecue. Cold AC.
Food's okay.
Great barbecue. No, the food's fantastic.
Great
the
AC,
food's good.
though.
Yeah. Home team
Now,
barbecue.
Number 3 place. You got to name your favorite brunch or breakfast spot.
Fork and plow.
What great names.
Yeah, fork and plow.
Yeehaw, Fork and Plow. And what's the barbecue place?
Home team.
Home team. Okay, that's kind of
I actually think I didn't realize I was rating Greenville, but I actually stand by that.
Okay.
Yeah. Stand by
Good
that.
save rounds. I'll let Abby know.
Yeah. This point of the show, we hit any alibis?
Premier League is back. Liverpool is 1-0 since there's draws in there also.
They're first place.
Yeah.
With other teams. Yeah.
Love when my team's 1-0 and 0. Yeah, but at this point of the show, we want to thank our sponsors. We want to tell everyone where to find us. And I don't know how to promote anything, so why would I do that? And Jeff, he works for Patagonia. Why would he do that? So we go to the guy that always has the best internet connection. It's always in time.
Drew the shortest of straws.
Yeah, doesn't have a lot of stuff going on at home. We'll go to PJ, but he's on his honeymoon. Shout out PJ. But Trey, if someone made it this long, an hour and 37 minutes in the podcast, and you had to tell them a couple things, what would you tell them?
First of all, I would ask them what episode number is this?
035.
This is episode 035 of the
Okay.
podcast. As always, we'd like to thank our sponsor, BW Tax. Great man, great human, better at taxes. Everyone always says that. Thank you for keeping the lights on. We are powered by the Strength Co. Love seeing the Slack channel. Look at the show notes below for the link. Use code OK for the discount. Go to www.theokpodcast.com to find the social media links. Love to see you follow there. And go to the YouTube channel, like and subscribe there as well. We all have our individual social media accounts. Jeff is currently live right now, and we all know our own handles. One day I will memorize those. Did I miss anything?
You're getting too good at this. We're gonna have to pick somebody new. It's not funny anymore. It's like me on the soundboard. No, I think that's it. www.theokpodcast.com. We'll see you next time.